Nationalism in India by Rabindranath Tagore. A short summary. The real problem in India is social and not political. European nations had racial unity, but commercial rivalry led to political rivalry also. Their politics is concerned with the exploitation of the world. India had her caste distinction from early days. The same caste distinction exists in America among the white men and the Negroes and Red Indians. So, the real problem in India is not political but social. We have our own caste problems and all. That is the main problem that haunts India. The European nations also had racial problems, but somewhat they are united. They have what they have more is political rivalry. They have politics and they have problems with other nation, but compared to their political problem, their racial problems is much lesser. But for India, it is very different. And this same caste distinction exists in America among white men and the Negroes and Red Indians. We know that Negroes and Red Indians suffer a lot from these white men, and this same problem exists in America also. India has been trying to make an adjustment of races. She acknowledges the differences and strives to find a basis for unity. Each individual has a self-love, but there is also in each the higher instinct of sympathy and mutual help. A nation can survive when it fosters the higher instincts and cooperate, otherwise it will perish. In the old days, men are confined to limited areas and it was easy to make a unity among members of the same race. In the modern world, different races have come into contact. Their problem is whether to fight or cooperate. So now we know that these racial problems are diminishing. In our modern world, all these different races come into contact, but their problem is that they are in a confusion that whether they have to fight or they have to cooperate with each other. Those who are gifted with the moral power of love and vision of spiritual unity, who can put themselves in the position of others, will lead the world. The fighting instinct will lead only to mutual destruction. Man has to make a great moral adjustment that will comprehend the whole world and can achieve the spiritual unity of all human beings. So here, Rabindranath Tagore advises us that he tells that we should not fight. We have to go with the moral adjustment. We have to adjust with each other. Then only our world will success. Otherwise, all this world will get distracted very soon. America can take the leadership in creating a spiritual unity. Europe is entangled in tradition and has no sense of spiritual unity. America has no past history to prevent her from building a future. Europe has lost faith in humanity. Her pride in her tradition makes a thick fence against the world. She cannot forget that she is Western and does not know that she cannot impose her Western ideas over others. She cannot accept the East. America has no old tradition to prevent her from marching into a new freedom. So here there's a comparison between Europe and America. Europe is always within their tradition, their past glory. They are in their past glory. So we know that Europe has a very high glorious time. We know that these Britishers were conquering most of the part of the world, and they have so much money and they have ruled over everyone, and they are still running behind that. While talking about America, they still have a spiritual unity between them, and America doesn't has such kind of old tradition to prevent America from marching into a new freedom. So Europe is still entangled in their tradition, but America is moving towards a new freedom. That's the main difference Rabindranath Tagore is bringing here. And Europe has a very high pride about her tradition that makes Europe to move ahead from their fences. England has no sympathy with India, and England has not tried to learn about India. So, what the main problem is Europe is that they have lost humanity. They have no hope in humanity or faith, and England doesn't know anything about India, and they haven't tried to learn anything about India. America is untrammeled by the grasping vessels of the past, and her hope in humanity has the strength of youth. India had never had a real sense of nationalism. She cannot also borrow the idea of nationalism from the West. She has to build her future upon her past yesterday. The West must stop oppressing and exploiting the East for her selfish gain. India never has a real sense of their nationalism. India doesn't know what that nationalism really means. And India cannot borrow it from West because West has a different kind of nationalism. What India has to do is that she has to build a kind of nationalism by herself from her past history. And the West must stop oppressing the East. So the West, from the time immemorial, has been suppressing and exploiting the East for their selfish gains. So they have to stop that. Nationalism is a great menace. The political parties in India saw nationalism as mere sharing in the administration or as independence. The Congress is in its early days only begged the British for concessions, but we should aim at is to do constructive work and to suffer from achievements. So actually we doesn't know the real sense of nationalism. Political parties teach us that nationalism is that something we need freedom, or we should have the power to administrate, we should have independence, all these things. And the Congress, for according to Congress, they begged British for our freedom. And we find all these things as nationalism. We Indians have to rule over our country. That's our feeling of nationalism. And what here Rabindranath Tagore tells that we have to have a constructive work. We have to construct our nation, and we have to bring more achievements. The extremists in the Congress argued for complete independence. They also did not see that the real independence consisted in abolishing caste distinction. And we have a certain group of people that extremists, and they say that they argues for complete freedom, complete independence, and they did not see that the real independence consists in abolishing caste distinction. So they tell that the real independence doesn't lie in abolishing all these caste discriminations and all. India is a nation of many races. It is because India absorbed all people who came over here. So we all know that India is a very diverse country. And in America and Australia, they killed the original inhabitants and solved the problem of racial difference. India tolerated difference of races from the first. So what happened in America and Australia is that they have killed all the original inhabitants. But for India, we tolerated everyone. We accumulated everyone. Her caste system is the outcome of this toleration. And how this caste system came into form is by our toleration. We tolerated everyone, and that's how this much caste has been here in India. India has all along been trying to evolve a social unity while allowing the difference to exist. And we at our very best try to protect our unity by conserving or preserving all our differences. But there has not been any attempt to break the barriers of races and caste. We haven't tried any attempt to break our barriers of race and caste. There has not been any flow and development in the social system. The West believed in competition and personal gain and therefore enslaved other nations. So what West believed in it as a competition, and they always want money, fame, name, personal gain, and everything. So that's why they enslaved the people and all the other nations. The Indian caste system evolved a productive system in which each caste produced what others needed and avoided competition. The appetite of the West for material wealth blinded them towards high moral purposes. Political freedom is not freedom. The politically free have become merely the powerful. They organize to enslave others and make themselves slaves of their passion and ambition. So, as we know, West is still blindfolded. They always ran behind money and wealth. They don't have the power to understand other nations, the soul of other nation and the soul of the people. So here Tagore says that political freedom is not the actual freedom. When we get freedom from Britishers, we say that at last India is free. But that is not the actual freedom. Political freedom doesn't give us the complete freedom. The politically free can become powerful. That's true. But politically free country is only merely powerful. They can organize to enslave others. That's true. They are powerful and they can enslave others. But they make themselves slaves of their passions and ambitions. At last, they are becoming a slave of their own passion, avarice, and ambitions. Racial and caste barriers stand in the way of the national unity of India. Racial and all our caste differences stand in our way of our national unity of India. India is a very diverse country. We have many caste, sex, religion, and everything. We have to preserve all these things. That is what is told in this chapter. We have to preserve our caste and everything. We should have a national unity by conserving our racial and caste barriers. That is what Tagore is saying in this chapter. And political freedom is not the actual freedom. We should have the freedom of race and caste. And that is the real meaning of national unity.